experience. How do you rally them in a situation like this, as difficult as it might be?
Well, I think first of all, I didn't remember the name of the hurricane was Irma. I would have lost that trivia contest. That's nothing like this. I mean, that's just missing a game. That's not a big deal. This team is starting to develop a real love for each other, and they want to play for each other. I think they feel that way about the coaching staff, and Coach Clark was probably at the top of that list as far as his guys actually caring about and loving him, because he cared about them and loved them. And when you have that kind of bond, I think you end up fighting and playing for each other. And I feel like that's what our team did last week. I think they'll do it again this week.
Coach, along those same lines, just how did Shawn connect with his players, and what kind of influence and impact do you think his legacy will have on them going forward throughout the season?
Yeah, first of all, it's not just our players. It's every, the outpouring of messages and affection for him that I've received speaks to how many people that he's come into contact with and that care about him. Kids are smart, and they can tell if somebody actually cares about them and loves them and has their best interest at heart, or if they're just there to use them as a tool to win football games or move ahead. Shawn's compassion and passion for his players and love for his players was real, and they knew that. And that's why he fit in so well here. And he was a perfect example of the type of man that I want in our building.
Scott, was there a moment, I know he wasn't here long, but was there a moment where you knew you had the right guy, not just a coach, but the right person to be around your football team and on your staff?
Yeah, when I interviewed him, it was obvious, because who Shawn was, he didn't hide it. He was who he was, and everything that was great about him shone through right away when I met him. Obviously a really good football coach too, but like I said before, that's not as important as other things in life.
You said he's been one of your favorite people to be around. So what are some of those memories you've been able to have with him and create with him during the 9 months you guys worked together?
When you work with somebody as many hours as we work, you start to develop real bonds. I mean, we spend a ton of time together. He always had a smile on his face. He and I had some private discussions, because we both have been through some really hard things in this industry and this sport, and I think we kind of shared a common sense of how things are and how to approach things because of some difficulties that we've gone through, and he and I talked about those things a lot. He was great for me to bounce ideas off of as somebody else that sat in the head coach's seat, and I just wish I had more time with him.
You mentioned the players kind of rallying together and getting back to work. Have you guys given them the resources to kind of process the feelings and kind of the suddenness of what happened? I know you've been in the hospital for a few weeks, but it sounded like things turned pretty suddenly. How have the players kind of exercised the resources or kind of begun to process this?
We have resources. Terry does a good job with that. We have resources available for guys that need it. But everybody kind of has to process it on their own. And, it's harder on the O-line than anyone else. And the coaches probably not even hold a candle to the family. But, all those things are available for the guys. And like I said, I'm the best when I'm working and have my mind occupied with other things. And I think football and playing for each other has given our guys that too.
Kind of on that same vein, you've been practicing the last couple days. How has that been to kind of get the mind off of it and to kind of get to football, and same thing with the players to kind of get your mind off of this tragic?
Yeah, exactly. Game planning was therapeutic for me. Hard to concentrate at times. Tuesday practice wasn't our best. I think it's just the emotion of everything drains you a little bit. Today's practice was really good, and you can feel the guys coming together, wanting to play for him and for each other. And we got a big test on Saturday, and we gotta be ready to give it everything we got.
Can you speak to what Coach Baer has been able to do to try to keep the guys together? Obviously, this is really tough on him. He might have been, closest to Coach Clark than anyone, and just how he's been filling in. And was there maybe some help you were going to be able to find midseason to kind of help with the O-line as well?
Yeah, first of all, Alex has done a great job. He's been around Shawn enough that they speak the exact same language and would coach the exact same way. Players love him too, so he's going to do a good job stepping up for us. We kind of looked for some relief pitchers to come in and help us. You kind of need more than one guy working with the offensive line just for numbers. And Danny Hope ended up coming in. Coach Hope was head coach at Purdue, worked with Shawn for 10 years. And he was over in Cocoa Beach, so it was easy. And it was a good fit since they were so close friends, and I think approached things a very similar way.
Along those lines, Scott, what was that? You mentioned Danny, but being close to Shawn as well, how much does that maybe help this? There's no way to ease the transition. I guess what you guys are going through right now is bringing in someone maybe he was familiar with him and maybe had the same kind of philosophies. How does that kind of help that transition?
Yeah, it's like I think that helps a little. The age differential isn't enough, but it feels like Danny's the grandpa and Shawn was the dad and Alex is the son, and there's not enough years in there to make that work, but it kind of feels like they're all coming from the same place.
Do you feel like the players are in a place where they want to play for Shawn and in his memory?
For sure. I definitely do. And again, that's just football, but our offensive guys and offensive line in particular spend a lot more time with him than some of the defensive guys, but I know it's affected everybody on the team.
Coach, I remember you've talked about how you want the team to be player-led. With what you observed, what have been some of the things you've seen the players do as they process this together?
Yeah, that's starting to take shape in practice and everything. If it's not going well, our players are making us run plays over again and speaking up if the energy's not good enough. And it's not all player-driven yet, but it's in a pretty good place. And, I don't know the conversations that are happening in the locker room, but I'm very confident that the right things are being said.
Scott, I'm sure there's some sort of plan to honor Coach Clark, whether before the game on Saturday or when you guys come back. Do you have some sort of way of paying tribute?
Yeah, it seems so trivial. We're going to put a sticker on our helmet with his initials, and you just wish there was something more than you can do and you can't. And I think the best thing we can do is cherish the time that we had with him and try to fight on.
Kind of hate to kind of change the subject here, but obviously big game with Kansas State. I know you've got connections to Coach Kleiman. Could you kind of speak on that? You guys, that was kind of your first coaching gig, right? When you were in Northern Iowa coaching on defense. Just what do you remember about Coach Kleiman from those days, and just maybe your overall impressions of Kansas State?
It's my second coaching gig was with Coach Kleiman. My first was at Kansas State. I was a graduate assistant there, I think, 2006. I loved my time in Manhattan. Really good fan base. Being from the Midwest, it was a fun place for me to live and fit me well. Left there to go to Northern Iowa and worked with Coach Kleiman on the defensive staff. And, just a ton of respect for him. We were friends, still are. He's done a great job with that program. And, they've been really close to winning every game they've played. And I know coming off a bye week, they're going to have smoke coming out of their ears. Our kids know that too, and I think they will as well.
You're going on the road for the first time this season. It's the Big 12 opener. I mean, how does that kind of galvanize the team when you're all together on the road, you against a hostile environment?
Yeah, to this point, every challenge we put in front of the kids, they've done a pretty good job with it. This is a whole new challenge. Fighting through emotions of the week, going on the road, playing in front of an opponent's crowd. Some new challenges that a lot of the guys, frankly, haven't faced yet. So we're trying to prepare them as well as we can. And It's going to be a tough test, and we got to try to give ourselves a good chance.
K-State started the year in Ireland, and I know a few years ago you did that with Nebraska. There's kind of a theory that there's a little bit of a hangover or difficulty getting back to things when you get back stateside. What was kind of your experience with that, and is it as difficult from a logistical standpoint as maybe expected?
Yeah, that's probably just coincidence. Now, you put a lot into that game when you go over there, and I think if you win it, it can catapult you, and if you're not careful, losing it can kind of set you back a little, but temporarily. They had a bye week. They've had a chance to kind of talk about things and resettle things, I'm sure. So we're going to get a good version of them, and we got to give them the best version of us that we can. Good.
I mean,
I didn't. I know you say the name. I know who it is, but I didn't really know who it was. Then I saw the guy, and I asked somebody. Yeah, he's kind of has some mullet. Yeah. Then I asked somebody on the sideline, like, that guy looks. Yeah. Who was? Did you say Coach Bear? That's the name of. That's the nickname of the assistant offensive line coach, Alex Bear. I call him Coach Bear. He was like he was coach.